y'all see the headphones. I decided to scratch the plan. I was getting ahead of myself. Things happen for a reason, and I kind of forgot that when things happen, they're not supposed to be for you to run and replace what was broken. That's holding on to the past. It's for you to continue moving forward, continue to use the resources that you have to get to the destination that you're trying to get to. And then once you get to that destination, then you know y'all see the headphones. I decided to scratch the plan. I was getting ahead of myself. Things happen for a reason, and I kind of forgot that when things happen, they're not supposed to be for you to run and what was broken. That's holding on to the past. It's for you to continue moving forward, continue to use the resources that you have to get to the destination that you're trying to get to. And then once you get to that destination, then you know y'all see the headphones. I decided to scratch the plan. I was getting ahead of myself. Things happen for a reason, and I kind of forgot that when things happen, they're not supposed to be for you to run and what was broken. That's holding on to the past. It's for you to continue moving forward, continue to use the resources that you have to get to the destination that you're trying to get to. And then once you get to that destination, then you know y'all see the headphones. I decided to scratch the plan. I was getting ahead of myself. Things happen for a reason, and I kind of forgot that when things happen, they're not supposed to be for you to run and what was broken. That's holding on to the past.
That's wow.
It's for you to continue moving forward, continue to use the resources that you have to get to the destination that you're trying to get to. And then once you get to that destination, then you know y'all see the headphones. I decided to scratch the plan. I was getting ahead of myself. And they wilding for respect right now that I feel like I fixed the issue. But what I'm talking about is certain things happen for a reason, and when they happen, you just got to continue moving forward. You know, just like having interruptions, just like having, you know, people heckling you, right? You ever had a heckler? Let me put a message up here for people coming in. Let me know where y'all from. I don't think I'm putting moderation on. So before I started, I was on I was recording some short videos for after I'm finished. I'm gonna upload those, one by one, piece by piece, and that's gonna kind of help draw in some more, you know, some more supporters. gonna bring up the views. I gotta meet the criteria of YouTube in order for my channel to be able to get posted out. But what I was saying about getting distracted and certain things happening and like insignificance of an ant biting you one time in one day, you're not going to worry about that. But if one ant bites you one time for 3 days, a week, a month, a year, you're going to start to wonder what the heck is going on with these ants. You're not going to wonder, what you're doing because you might keep everywhere as clean as possible. You might do everything that you can, and then this one fly pops up. And then you're wondering where the hell did this one fly come from? Because no window is open, no doors open, there's no cracks anywhere. But then this one fly pops up, and that can change the trajectory of your whole day. It can go from you taking that 20 minutes to focus on yourself, get a laugh in, so that way anything happens outside of that 20 minutes, you already laughed, you already spent time with yourself, you said a prayer, you got yourself something to drink, something to eat, something to bring your energy up, and you're feeling good. But if you're in a dream and then you get shaken up out of your dream, or you get shaken up and you get woken up without choosing to get up, or your body, naturally rising you up, or your alarm naturally rising you at the time you have it set, that can mess up the trajectory of your day because now you're discombobulated. Now you're disoriented. You didn't get the time to spend those moments with yourself, so that way the rest of the day is is a non-factor. It doesn't matter anything that happens. You're always gonna have that good day because you spent that time with yourself. You set the tone. But if someone else sets the tone, and you could take that and incorporate it with everything else in your life. If you let somebody else set the tone of your day, you will regret it, and you will end up having the worst day. And it's gonna take a while for your body to alchemize and get rid of that negative energy that you have incorporated or you have listened to. I remember saying a while back, wherever you have holes in your body, you can be fucked. So if something happens and you take in that information, however you take in that energy, is going to change some type of it's going to change because your body is going to have to react or respond to whatever is going on. Shout out to your beliefs. I encourage everybody to believe. I encourage everybody to know what they believe. And in your belief, that's where you find your knowing. It's not one sided, it's balanced to everything. So when we talk about chemicals, your body has to balance whatever chemical, whatever energy was implemented inside. Because we can't go around with earplugs, we can't go around with nose plugs, we can't go around with mouth plugs, butt plugs, and all the other plugs. So energy is going to get in. So in knowing yourself, it helps you to know what energy is what and how to alchemize that energy. And it takes I say it takes 3 months, intimacy wise. It takes 18 hours max for meat to be digested from the body. So it takes a little bit longer when you're intimate with somebody and then you're not intimate with that person anymore. Their DNA, their footprint, so to speak, is still in you until you take that 3 months of not communicating, not entertaining, not interacting, or being intimate with that person for you to finally be freed and solely purified from that person's energy. Doesn't mean that you haven't been with anybody. It just means that that's the amount of time that it takes your physical body, your not your physical body, but your spiritual body and your physical body to reset someone's energy after they, come into your life or you come into contact with that person. And it's that way with everybody. That's why a lot of people you see in solitude, they're so happy and healthy. And a lot of people talk about don't be stressed, be happy, don't entertain a bunch of BS, don't, get into everybody's issues because if you get into five people's problems, right? You watching Love and Hip Hop all those people's problems is going to take 3 months times whoever you are interacting with for that energy to be alchemized out of your body. If your neighbors are having bad days and you're interacting with your neighbors on those days that they're having bad days, it's going to take those 3 months times whoever you're interacting with and how those energies are coming into contact with you is going to take that amount of time for your body to alchemize it. So when you see people talking about they're purified and you see people talking about they're baptized and they're born again, it's because they have went through that amount of time in a different aspect, in a different way, because people do things differently. Just like how um this viewer said Allah is great, right? A lot of people say Allah, a lot of people say Christ, a lot of people say, you know, um Yahshua, a lot of people say mother, a lot of people say the universe. Everybody uses different aspects and different pieces of one great big puzzle. And as long as you have any aspect or any specific piece of that puzzle, you can count yourself as part of the whole, right? Because before there was many, there was a thought. Before there was anything, there was a thought. There was that one thought that decided to be. And in being came everything. And in the coming of everything, it had something happened along the way that caused that string to split. And then the split that happened began to cause a balance in the life and the light that was being created. Because if there's only life that's being created and there's nothing to balance off what that life is capable of doing or capable of reaching or showing that it has reached its pinnacle and now it's time for it to change into something else which is more life. That's why they say death is not death, it's not the final, death is just the beginning. So when life was you know taken off in that one spiral, it split into two because it had to have that balance. It had to have something else. I guess life got bored, right? And then decided, well, I've lived so long, so now let's see what's on the other side of this. So then death was created. And that's the two sides that balances life. It's crazy. I just thought about that. I love Italy. I always wanted to go to Italy. Where is it? It's not. How do you say afternoon? Buenos. I forgot. It's been so many years. I haven't even studied Italian in a while. What's up? Where y'all from? Channeling. So I'm starting to sweat. I love it. I got my water right here. Now I think everybody done heard, seen, felt whispers of the New World Order. So when you think about the New World Order, what do you think about? And then I started to talk about the New Earth because it's not the earth and the world that we knew from yesterday. It's a whole new life that we're experiencing under this sun. This sun is not the same sun of yesterday. We could tell because it's very hot. It's like something. It's as if tints was on it before, and then it got so hot that the tints melted away, and now all we feel is the pure light of the sun. Plus, I don't think the ozone layer was ever fixed because in order for that to happen, they would have to stop all of the industrial, you know, activity that's going on. And since then, when they found out there was a tear in the ozone layer, which is the protection of the earth, they have ramped up production times 3,333% since they put that article out. So, no, the ozone layer is not cured or healed, and it never will be. What's happening is the earth is like a flower, and the sun is opening up whatever is inside, like whatever is protecting that flower from blossoming. The sun is making it open, so earth is being opened by all the rays of the sunlight, and what's inside is all of us. Before, we were trapped in it. Now it's being open like one of those lotus flowers, and whatever's inside is like, it's so beautiful, I can't even put it into words. You have to have an imagination in order to be able to imagine how earth is being opened up like a lotus flower. And the sun represents the flames of the dragon, which is also within us. You haven't realized how high and how hot the temperature is and the frequency of the earth is right now. Even with all the propaganda that's going on, all the negative stuff that they're talking about with the wars and the conflicts between the countries, with everything going on and the potential for WW3 to happen in 2027, we're still at the point where the WW1 people that were woke at that time, they would be so proud of us. They would be so proud of us. Our ancestors would be so proud of us on both sides, because there's so many people on on the negative aspect of why we ended up in this fall in consciousness. There's so many people on that side that, you know, there's bloodlines on both sides, right? So the bloodline on the dark side is even saying, you know, now it's time to balance out all the darkness, because even darkness gets bored. Just like when death had to be created, when life was just lifing and creating and creating and creating, life got tired of living. And so it decided to split off. And what was split off, the other side, the other half was death. So death became now the constant. Now it became the constant. And what was used in the term death is fear, right? So it made you afraid to die. So it made you live in fear. So life was never afraid to die. Life created death to see what was on the other side. Death is just another side of life, and life is another side of death, both existing in the spiral of life in its whole as a thought, right? So when death started, the side of life, people just didn't fight that hard for it. People didn't really care about life so much. Now these days, they're trying to convince you that having children or giving birth to life is such a bad thing or such an expensive thing, when we were having 12, 13 children, they were saying, in both sides of slavery. When there was Caucasians in slavery, they were having children. When it was time for the black people to be in slavery, or the Indians, or the whatever you want to call yourself, we are Lumerians, right? Whatever you want to call yourself. When slavery was happening on both sides of the coin, they were still having multiple, multiple, multiple babies and families. Why? Because we knew and understood life in itself. Just because there was death doesn't mean you stop living. And that's what happened when death became the constant and life became the byproduct of all the constants that you see going on right now. They want you to feel like in order for you to be alive, you have to take penitentiary chances. In order for you to feel alive, you have to risk your life to be popular or to be cool. Amada Brazil. They wanted you to feel like in order for you to live, in order for you to be able to experience heaven, you have to die. And so death became the constant and life became the byproduct of it. And it's supposed to be Life is the constant and death is the byproduct of it, because life was created first and then death became afterwards. When life got bored of just living and living, it wanted to see what was on the other side, because it comes a time in life where you reach that checkpoint and now it's time for you to move forward, right? A lot of souls, they don't get to move forward because they never got to experience life up until the checkpoint that they deemed inherited to them. And sometimes you can, quote unquote, snuff out a life, which is against universal law, which is why certain people get on the internet and talk about, oh, the ghost is knocking over stuff in the house, but they're not paying bills. It's not a spirit in the sense that they're mad. They're just unable to get rest. They're unable because they didn't fulfill what they were supposed to in this realm. So they're stuck in the purgatory corridor of life and death. So they're just watching you experience life, and they're like it's kind of like being on probation, right? You're waiting, and you're in a period where you're in waiting, right? So until someone that's highly spiritual and knows the laws of life and death, they can go into that area and bring that entire area peace. Shout out to Malaysia. They could bring that entire area and that entire landmass peace, because the power of voice, the power of tone, the power of frequency, it's it's something like Kalai Amurai used to say. The truth is more disturbing than the lie, right? Because the truth is so simple, a baby can understand it. But a lie is so complex that a baby is going to know automatically that it's not true, that it's a lie. Because if you want to know the truth, ask a baby, ask a child, ask someone that remains a child when most people won't even smile. People don't even smile. They're stuck in that purgatory of the past. They refuse to keep moving forward. Everything that I say come full circle, baby, right? And when you watch this back, you're probably going to say, where is he getting to and where is he going with this? And I'm bringing everything into, I break things down into ways that you could understand it in your reality, instead of trying to sell you a course, instead of trying to sell you some shit where you're going to end up down the line regretting even buying it, because you could have found that out just by looking at your own life and your own actions. A Sagittarius has the gift of foresight. You don't like the zodiacs? That's fine. You just will be lost, because the zodiac is the GPS to your soul. That's why you were studied and you were placed under that specific zodiac. The zodiac wasn't created and then you came. You came and then you were studied, and then they placed you under that specific star system that you came under. And your year, it comes back up because it's a spiral. It's not a circle, right? So if it was a circle, we would be living groundhog every single day. But the plane is the same. The people and the script is the same. The people just change. Even if they add some into the script, they take out from the script is still the same. So whenever you go off script, you're living your life. When you feel like you're not living your life, you're perfectly on script. So, in order to bring this full circle, when you're not moving forward, you're living in that purgatory of the past, because you're not living, you're experiencing death. And once you stop living, you're immediately experiencing that other balance of life, which is death. Nothing in your life progresses, nothing in your life grows, because you're practicing death. You're practicing the lack of living. You're practicing the lack of forward movement. You heard the saying before, uh, a body in motion stays in motion. A body not in motion stays out of motion. If you turn off the car and you do not turn on the car and drive it, the car will never move. Rwanda. Shout out to Rwanda. If you turn that car off, that car will not move. If you turn that car on and you start driving that car, you're going to end up doing what? Running out of energy, running out of gas, and then you got to find something to put into your body. You got to find something that the car requires. You have to find the requirements of your DNA, what you need. You might not need a gallon of water a day. You might need 2 gallons of water a day because you smoke cigarettes or tobacco or weed or whatever. You might need a half a gallon of water a day because you drink juice and you drink fruits and you drink soda and you drink other stuff that have H2O in it as a constant, right? As a solvent, right? The water becomes the solvent because everything dissolves in it. The solution is what they put in the solvent and they mix it up together, right? So if you don't keep moving, you will not be moving. If you don't keep growing, learning, experiencing, you will not be experiencing. You will not be learning. You will not be living. You will be currently experiencing what death wants you to experience. No, not what death wants you to experience. What fear wants you to experience. Fear wants you to experience death. Death wants you to experience life. You ever heard the saying, the closer you are to death, the closer you are to dying, the closer you are to living? Because when you're at that point where life is about to not be, you get into that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever they want to call it, right? That's when you start to be that dog backed into the corner, and then you start fighting for life. You start fighting to live. You start fighting because you're drowning in the pool. You haven't learned how to swim. You didn't take that time to learn how to move your arm and put one arm in front of the other and just kick and then kick and then kick and then doggy paddle. So now you're struggling in the pool and now you're fighting to live. We don't start fighting to live until we're almost dead. We don't start trying to move and get up and do something until it's too late. I learned this because I didn't have the opportunity to not be faithful. I didn't have the opportunity to not be hopeful. I didn't have the opportunity to not be optimistic because I had to watch other people celebrate life and I couldn't celebrate the things that they had. So the things that I had was my imagination. So since I had my imagination and I held on to my imagination, I can imagine life. I wasn't physically able to do the things everybody else was doing, but I could imagine myself doing it. I could imagine what it would be like sitting on the battlefield dressed in this same getup that I have on right now in this screensaver behind me, thinking about the order of the dragon after thinking about the new world order and us being the new world order. It's the children of tomorrow. There's going to be another new world order. There's going to be another new world order, and that's Generation Alpha. That's what they're calling them. But it took the millennials, the children of the 90s, it took us to get on the internet and be crazy and be like monkeys and do all this crazy stuff in order for them to say the New World Order. We thought the New World Order was the Illuminati and the Freemasons and all this other stuff. We didn't have it. I didn't have any idea that we were the actual New World Order because look at how social media is going. Look at how the news is going. Look at how they have so much conflict going on. Free Palestine, by the way, they have so much different conflict going on that we're so transcended from it, right? I heard a saying and it stayed with me. You don't know God until you transcend religion. Everybody is front line for their religion, but their religion isn't God. God isn't religion. And that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way because if you want to put a title on it, then you could take the title off. And God isn't that. That you could put a control, that you can put something on and then you could switch it off whenever you want to. God is even when you switch it off. They like to say that this God is the God of the living and not the dead. Well, the dead is also living. The dead is also a part of life. It's the absolute opposite of life. That doesn't mean it isn't. I didn't say it's not the absolute opposite. I said it is. So that means that it is. So there is something there beyond. So don't be afraid. There's a lot of people that experience near death experiences, me included, that I actually went for almost 2 minutes, came back. I feel like at that point, I can remember that moment every single day, like I'm watching a trailer for a movie. I remember that moment, me and my aunt and one of her friends from the police station across the street driving me to the hospital because I was a heavy asthmatic and I had a pneumonia attack. I had pneumonia and I had an asthma attack. My apologies. I was very asthmatic, and you know, an inhaler in Trinidad in the 90s, expensive, expensive. You know how many people died from asthma because they couldn't afford that inhaler? And the inhaler only comes with 32 puffs. And you got to take like three of them when you have an asthma attack. And it's like over $100, $200. I'm not getting paid that much. Don't have, there was no such thing as insurance. There was no such thing as suing somebody and the government pays for this. There was no government aid. So having to train in a survival instinctual environment, it made me a warrior, not only in my imagination, but it came through my body like sweat and it became who I really am. So I live my life like that on the front line. Even if it's just on the front line of my life, I've been on the front line of my life and I've suffered, survived, and now I can teach as I learn. Just like Phil Collins say, you're learning to teach and you're teaching as you learn. Son of man, you will be in time. Not necessarily that way, but son of man, in time you will be son of man or daughter of man, daughter of woman, son of woman, however you want to put it. We have to keep moving forward. No matter what happens in 2027, it's going to look like quote unquote gang activity, but it's not going to be that. It's you are already going to know what is going to happen and how people are going to be. You already see the keg stand and how it's not even being kicked anymore. It's being beaten with sledgehammers. Excuse me. That's how the keg stand is being right now. They're beating it with sledgehammers, and at any given moment in 2027, when that ball drops, when that ball drops, January 2027, before spring, it's going to be crazy. You will already know what's happening. You're not going to have to come to the internet and wonder what's going on. Your intuition is going to be on point. It's going to be autonomous. It's going to be autonomous. Yeah. And when it happens, that's when you're going to know you're no longer at the same checkpoint in purgatory in the past. You kept moving forward and you're living and you're balanced. You know that there's going to be death, but as long as there's no fear, there can always be life. Death wants you to live, fear wants you to die. We always want to live when we're closer to death. Don't get close to death in order to want to live. Don't be living in fear. Live and know that death is another side. balancing life. It's not it's not taking life away from you. When someone transcends and passes on, we don't say they pass back. We say they pass on. That person passed on. That person passed away. But away doesn't mean back. Away just means another direction. They went away from here. So that means that that means that they still are. And that life that they were living here, it still is, just not in this realm. But the life itself still is because the energy is just transformed. So when you stop being fearful, then you will be able to understand that death don't want you to die. Death wants you to live. Fear wants you to die. Life just wants you to be. You don't have to be anything as long as you're happy. I broke down into tears yesterday watching what movie was I watching? I was watching Elf. That's one of my favorite Christmas movies. I swear to God. And there was one of the scenes where somebody was asked what they wanted for Christmas. And I said, I just want to be happy. I don't care about money. I don't care about things. I just want to be happy. And in being happy, I could spread life, joy. I could be influential. I could be inspirational. I could be a beacon to all those that don't have hope. And one thing I understand about people, I can relate. This is one thing that I can relate, especially to people that's locked up, right? Free all the innocent that's locked up, right? Free all the guys. And that's a saying that I resonate with because one thing that's lacking in jail, in prison, is hope. That's one thing that can get you taken out in prison is if you give somebody hope in there, hope of ever getting out, hope of ever being able to live again because they feel like in there it's death. But in there is fear. It's nothing but fear in there. And it's being used like a battery, like Monsters Incorporate. They have them looking like monsters behind the cells. And we're watching Monsters Incorporated, not thinking that those monsters that they're showing us are the same people that's in prison, wrongfully in prison, padded charges, discrimination, political prisoners. Who do you think Mike Mazowski and all the other furry monsters and Monsters Incorporated are? But then they have their own kind imprisoning them and running scheme on them. So it's like we're doing it to ourselves. That's why I want to, that's why I am freeing the hearts of this generation and the next generation because our mind is already free. We do whatever we want, right? We say whatever we want, right? We communicate however we want. But as long as our hearts, now it's time to free our hearts from the shackles and chains of society because our minds are already free. We can be whatever we want to be. But if your heart is still caged, you won't be anything but fearful. It won't be anything but potential. When you free your heart from the shackles and chains of society, you can be whatever you want to be, not what society wants you to be, not what fear tells you. Because death, the thing about life and death, right? Death is there's no need to explain death just like there's no need to explain life. But fear, you have to explain that. It might be obvious, but a lot of people don't understand what they're afraid of. A lot of people don't understand how they can be on the front line of their life and they can enjoy what they have and get more instead of not enjoying what they have and being wishful and hopeful that they would get more. when you already have everything. When you get more, you will still have everything. You would just have everything on another level. Some people have nothing and that's everything, and some people have everything and that's nothing. Some people are so poor and so broke that all they have is things. And some people are convincing themselves that what they need is things and they don't need anything else. But there's nothing, no price you could put on a human touch. That's heaven. Being able to live and create life, even if you're creating life yourself, like an idea, right? You give birth to an idea, you give birth to an idea, you give birth to an idea, you give birth to an idea. Everything is giving birth to that idea. And once that idea becomes real, once that idea becomes something tangent, something finite, then it becomes your responsibility to see how long it will live, the life cycle of that thing. Because just like a seed, it can repeat. The seed doesn't last, the tree itself doesn't last forever. The seed itself lasts forever. So your soul is the seed inside of the body, and it will not last forever, but the soul will. The spirit is God, and it will last forever. The other half is the flesh. And once we shed the flesh, we'll realize that all that was holding us tethered is fear. This is the longest time that I've been streaming, and I held viewers, I held my viewership. So I appreciate y'all tapping in. We'll come to a close. The Good Portal. I'm gonna post some shorts, and I'm gonna have that as the thumbnail. But the Good Portal is closing September 22nd. So continue to do good. Continue to be good and be righteous and be right. We were wrong, and it's okay. It's okay to be wrong because now you know how to be right. Not at least if you don't know how to be right, you know how not to be wrong. So the Good Portal is still open. It's good/God portal because God is good. People like to say God is good all the time, but they don't do good all the time. They just like to use it when it's convenient for their conversations. So they're conning each other and using God as a scapegoat. They're using God as a byproduct of when God should be the constant and them being good should be the byproduct. All the main stage creators, all the main stage characters, the people playing roles and distractions and wearing makeup, there's not enough. There is not enough scripts. There's not enough makeups and not enough roles that they could play anymore. Because just like in Yu-Gi-Oh, the dual monsters are unleashed. Just like that lotus flower, Earth is being opened up with dragon flames. The dragon flames is opening up the earth, and we are in that lotus flower. We are the seed in the garden, forever, infinite, growing, shedding, which is the dying part, and then growing again, shedding again, and then growing again. We're just on the precession of the equinox where Earth is like this. Once we fully come across or come around the equinox, Earth is going to be like this, fully open. All the lies and all the darkness is going to be gone. It's going to be like there was never nighttime. We see it now when the moon is shining in the day. The moon is no longer just shining in the darkness. The moon is now shining with the sun. So pretty soon, Earth is going to open fully like the lotus flower, and we're going to be transcended. The plane is going to be the same. We're going to be different. We're going to be experiencing life differently. Life is going to be experiencing us differently. Fear is probably going to ride in the trunk, but it's still going to be banging on the doors. But it's going to be banging on the door inside the trunk. And we just going to turn up the music so we don't hear it. Turn up the music so you don't hear the fear. Turn up the music so you don't hear the fear. So what if they say you're distracting yourself? You're not here to stress. You're not here to be in fear. You're here knowing that death exists, which is why you're living, because you know that without fear, life and death are just similar parts balancing each other out. And there is nothing to fear. There is no fear. Don't fear living and don't fear death, because death don't want you to fear. Death wants you to live. Fear wants you to die. I put things in perspective so that you can understand it at a young age. I had a child in here, 5 years old, 2 days ago, and we were talking crap back and forth. And not until the person said that they're 5 years old, I quickly apologized. I immediately apologized. I will never, because I grew up in the era where we had Call of Duty and we had the lobbies, and the people that were talking a whole bunch of shit were younger than us. We talk shit too, but the people that were talking the worst, like they had no filter, because we said some shit, we would get our ass whooped, right? But the children that was talking with no filter, they're the ones that were younger than us. So I understood I'm never gonna go try to argue with a child, with anybody younger than me, because not only can I learn from that child, I did learn from him or her. I didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, right? But the child said that they're used to people talking like that to them and their family. And I was like, it's not going to be, you're not going to get used to that with me, because that's not the community that I'm building. That's not the community that I'm here on the front lines for. I'm on the front lines for the children that get talked to like that, because my father talked to me, called me every name in the book. So nobody can call me anything or say anything to throw me off. I got tough skin. You can talk shit all day. I will laugh in your face. And it would only make you more mad. That's probably why I got into so much fights when I was younger, because I would laugh in serious situations. My father beat me for things I didn't do. You think, listen, man, I'm getting into the dragon. I got new music out. The Order of the Dragon. I brought to you, I bring to you the holy drill music era. You know drill music of people doing, spinning the blocks on people that they live down the street from. But you're gonna know drill music as me going at the evil, going at the darkness, going at the fear, because it's the fear that makes people want to go and harm someone that looks exactly like them in their same neighborhood, in the block that their mom is renting, or their dad is renting, or they are renting. But if you are renting the block, or you are renting the house or the apartment on the block, and you're paying that hard earned money, you're not going to want to be going and hurting someone that looks just like you, because you understand the psychology of it all. Fear is a part of psyche. If you let fear go, it'll take a little bit, it'll take a little while, probably like 7 minutes, and you won't be feeling fear anymore. It takes 7 minutes for fear to be flushed from your psyche after you stop feeling it. So once you stop feeling it, it will be flushed. It would be like drinking water and going to take a pee. You're doing an oil change in this vehicle, right? When you pee or when you poop, when you're done, you got to drink some more water, right? You're doing an oil change. You're getting rid of the waste, right? You getting rid of that plug, and now you plugging you filling yourself back up with some stuff so you can keep that car moving forward. You can always put soda in there. You can always drink your juice. You can always eat your you can eat whatever you want. Just give your body the the chance of being active. We used to have 60 minutes, right? They used to have this thing called 60 minutes before 60 minutes became a news broadcast system, right? 60 minutes where you get outside and you be active for 60 minutes straight. And that 60 minutes alone is literally just 1 hour out of the 24 hours in the day. Even half of that, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, your body is going to be thankful and your body's going to be able to keep moving forward. Even if you do 10 push ups when you get up, 20 sit ups, 20, 20, 10 sit ups or 10 push ups or whatever, your body is going to be happy and is going to continue to move forward because it's being active. It's, 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 it's practicing life. It's practicing action in good in a positive direction. It's practicing forward movement. When you get up and you just put all this bad negative energy inside of you, it gives your body, it puts you at a disadvantage physically and then spiritually. Just like I said, the person that I was inside, it seeped through my pores like sweat and it became me realistically. It became who I am and who I practice to be in reality. So let that be something that you take with you, right? Let that be what you take with you. And if anything I say resonate with you, hit up my fundraiser link. Help me get out the motels and into an apartment so I could do a lot more work like this and I could reach a lot more people and I could be out there and transition my finances from having to survive and then helping people thrive because what I'm going to do when I get out of here is help other people get out of here and get out of here and get into here. That's how I'm going to pay it forward. I can't wait to see other people happy living their dreams and chasing nightmares instead of chasing their dreams and living a whole fucking nightmare. That's what you're seeing on TV with these people in decorations and face masks. You might find 30-second clip of them having the time of their life, but the rest of their life is crap. You might find 30 minutes of them or an hour of them being, you know, talking about something and then the rest of the time is crap. But the rest of the time when you're not being active, your body is feeding off of that fuel and your spirit is being thankful for it. So it's a reciprocation. It's no longer being a trade off, it's a trade up. You're being granted, you're being granted. So if this resonates with you, support me. Listen to my EP, stream it on free services. I have my first link is my YouTube music, my official YouTube music profile. Listen to all my music. I just dropped the 4-song EP, Independently the Order of the Dragon, to break in the new world order, the holy drill music era, turning up the frequency, burning and balancing out all that darkness, going toe to toe with fear till death on the front line, going toe to toe with fear so others after me, even before, if they're still here, they can learn from me and resonate with my story and resonate with my message. Don't have to like the messenger, but as long as you resonate with the message, I know I'm going to be able to reach you and reach your heart. And if I reach your heart and I resonate with you, and you feel free to donate towards my purpose, I'm going to show you purpose. I'm gonna show you purpose like none other. Lieutenant Colonel 7, my evening stars. I love y'all. I appreciate everybody tapping in. Everybody, scrolling past. I'm honored that you stopped by while scrolling and you're able to get a piece of the message. As soon as I get off, this is going to be live, so you're going to be able to run it back. You can run it back at 1.5 speed, and you'll be able to understand everything that I'm saying, cut past a lot of the pauses that I make, and get through to each part of the message. And once you get through to each part of the message, you can hit pause. You can slow it down to hear, certain points that resonate with you the most, or you could speed it back up. You could even watch it at 2 times the speed. And I promise you, you will still be able to understand me. You might be able to understand me more if you listen back at 1.5 speed, because your mind is moving faster than you think. Us listening at normal speed is slowing down our brains when our brain and our body is speeding up. The frequency is speed, frequency is high intensity. So listening back at 1.5 to 2 times the speed is going to be like a journey for your brain, right? See how it sounds, see how it feels. It might even you might even hear every single word that I'm saying while you're listening to it so fast because you're trying to keep up with the speed of it. But thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for tapping in. Check out all my links. All my links is in there. As soon as you hit the face, hit the picture, boom, hit that more. All my links will fold down.